Karma. Every now and then you meet people who seem to have an abundance of good karma. Their everyday intentions and actions are recognized by others, and other good works come back to them. It's truly inspirational. Today's couple seem to have lots of good karma, and it came back to them in a very big way for their wedding. Coming right up on Dream Weddings. What makes a dream wedding? Some brides think that dream weddings only happen in big cities or exotic beach locations. But that's not true. Dream weddings happen every weekend in small towns all over America. It takes good planning, attention to detail, and having your very own dream team in place. Stay tuned and I'll show you how it's done. So guys, Derek is shooting Stephanie and Scott's wedding, and he recommended them for Dream Weddings. They have a great story.
I remember them, yes.
I moved to Harrisburg after graduating from Penn State, and the first thing I did was come on the governor's campaign, Governor Corbett. Within a year or 2 years after graduating college, I started my own public relations firm.
I moved back to Harrisburg in August of 2007 from Washington, D.C. I also went to Penn State and graduated with my degrees in engineering, and was working my dream job down in DC for Clark Construction Company, building landmark buildings. When I was at Penn State, my teammates and I had started a charity, and I was continuing to run that on the side when I was in DC, and just kind of as life happens, it reached a point where it needed full-time attention, and I was in the best position to leave my job, and I moved back to Harrisburg to run it. I was looking for somebody to share my life with, and I didn't think I'd ever be able to find that in Harrisburg. I really don't try to pick up girls at a bar. I never bother talking to bartenders because every other guy in the bar is doing the same thing.
As a part-time job, and I still do it now, I bartend at Keolta's Irish Pub in downtown Harrisburg.
And we walked into Keolta's, and we walked in and I saw Stephanie working the beer tub. One of my really good friends who came in, he plays for the Philadelphia Eagles, who came into town for that. Later in the night is dancing with her at the bar.
Well, it ends up that Brett and I, we're the same year in college, Penn State. We go back to freshman year.
So I pull him aside. He's like, she's single. She lives in Harrisburg. She works for the governor. She does this to meet people, but figured it's better to make money than spend money at the bar, and runs a PR firm on the side. And I was like, that sounds like everything that I want. I ended up sending her a message on Facebook, and she replied with the wrong phone number. So on Facebook, we had these really nice conversations, but we could never find a time to meet. The vibe I was getting from Facebook was that she was interested. Correct. But the vibe I was getting from the text message was totally different. That she really wasn't. And the person finally writes back and says, sorry to tell you, but this isn't whoever you think it is. Good luck, I hope you find her. When we had lunch that day, you know, lunch is a defined hour. And we were at the end of the hour just kind of like hanging on, like, but one more thing, one more, you know, like. I
just remember thinking, I was like, I have to see this guy again. I think the kind of the theme of our whole story is a lot of great relationships that have worked together to allow us what we've had. So much of our wedding planning is very reflective of the relationships in our life. It's going, I hope, to be a very beautiful wedding, and to the outside, people might look at it and think, you guys spent a lot of money, but because of the relationships and people who have just donated their times and talent, I'm looking forward to how it all comes together.
Aren't they sweet?
Yeah, that's great.
I love their story. The charity that Scott started in memory of his father, the Penn State chapter raised over $800,000 for rare kidney diseases.
Excellent.
And uplifting athletes is now in universities all over the country. That's huge, I know.
You know, and that comment that Stephanie made about relationships with vendors here in Central PA is really important, because a lot of the vendors that were involved with their wedding were giving and discounting things to them because we feel like we're giving back to uplifting athletes.
Don Shirley, father of 3, was a high school baseball coach at Mechanicsburg Area Senior High School in Pennsylvania. Don was diagnosed with kidney cancer, which had spread to his lung and liver. Scott, then a junior wide receiver on the Penn State football team, heard the grim news on the phone from his mother, Joyce. The Shirleys reached out to the American Kidney Cancer Association. What they heard was stunning.
The reason nothing could be done was because there was no interest in kidney cancer. It affects fewer than 200,000 Americans. There's little financial incentive to make and market new treatments. To learn then that it is a lack of interest, it really does make you feel like something needs to change.
To honor his father, Scott, along with the help of dedicated volunteers, created Uplifting Athletes, an organization whose goal is to rally student athletes at universities across the country to engage the community and raise money and awareness for rare diseases such as kidney cancer.
Stephanie and Scott chose Harrisburg, Pennsylvania as their new home, and it's easy to see why. Located in South Central Pennsylvania, Harrisburg is the state capital. It's got great museums, galleries, and architecture. But the coolest feature is the river. The Susquehanna River is the longest river on the East Coast that drains into the Atlantic Ocean. It starts in New York State, runs through Pennsylvania, and into Maryland, where it feeds the Chesapeake Bay half its fresh water. The river is very wide, but not deep enough for shipping, making it a perfect place for boating, fishing, bird watching, or just contemplating your dream wedding. The river was also the location where Scott proposed to Stephanie in a very creative way. Tell me why this city is so special.
Well, this city really has been the backdrop, I would say, for Scott and I's whole relationship. It's where we first met, and it's where we shared a lot of really interesting memories together. We would run together on the riverfront. Scott lived in the Shipoke area, and I lived about a mile north down the river. So we would always kind of meet somewhere in the middle. And we've said that's kind of been an analogy for our relationship.
So we talked openly about our future together throughout the course of our relationship, and at one point she said, since we saw the train go by just before our first kiss, you should propose on the side of a train. So I thought, okay, I can find a way to do that. So I went to a train store, a hobby store in New Cumberland, and I bought a little replica train, and I wrote the proposal on the side of the train.
I was so confused as to how this train was there. Scott had just flown in from San Antonio from a week away, so there was no way he had time to do all this. So what Scott actually did was make a scavenger hunt. The final clue led us to Negley Park, and it's where Scott and I watched fireworks together for the first time during the 4th of July. That was the night we both say we fell in love with each other. We're coming down the stairs and I hear music, and there's no one else in the park, and it's January and it's cold.
So I programmed an app on my iPad to have a fireworks display, and it had the Jason Derulo song that we liked.
And then Scott proposed.
My brother was helping by planning the clues, and I started to get curious where he actually was at any given moment. And as soon as I got down on a knee and proposed, he pops out of a bush to take our picture.
That's a beautiful story. I like that. As important as the city is to Stephanie and Scott, for their wedding, they wanted to be in the country, away from everything. And boy, were they.
Hello, Martine. You look a little confused.
I'm just eager to find out exactly the logistics, because there has to be a lot of logistics in here. There's no electricity.
It is just a blank slate. From bathrooms to electricity, we're bringing everything in.
Literally, it's just...
We're building walls and buildings, I feel like, too, to make it all come together.
Well, show me where the cocktail hours go. Sure.
All right, so if you were our guest following us out of the ceremony.
Which, by the way, I am, because I'm crushing your wedding.
That's right, I guess we'll let
You're never crashing if you're always invited.
It's beautiful, and there's a lot of potential in here. So we have the lighting, we have the dance floor in here, you're gonna have sofas, so you're creating a little mini nightclub theme outside. So, we have to have plan B, I'm sorry, I'm this type of person, okay? If it rains, are we still gonna have the cocktail hour here?
Surprisingly, the tent is big enough, and we can order a larger section of it, that everything, including the ceremony, can be done under a tent.
I can't wait to talk to JDK, because this is gonna be huge. So, Amanda.
Yes.
I'm walking in here and I'm like, where's everything? There's nothing.
It's a blank slate, which is the best, most exciting part. Each area is going to be very unique and special to Scott and Steph, so it's a really great representation of who they are as a couple. This area we are actually utilizing for the hors d'oeuvre hour and then the dancing and celebration.
They were talking about the high tops and the sofas. Are you providing that as well?
Oh, yes, we are. We also do have a lounge area that's going to be centered around the dance floor. We also have some Ice Magic product that we're going to be enhancing this area with. It's an acrylic product where we have cocktail tables, so we have wireless LED lights that go underneath the product. And so in the evening when they come up for the dancing and celebration, the lights will be shining, all kinds of different colors, and the music. We have mixed up productions.
What JDK is going to create is a glam farm. Show me where the reception is going to be. JDK and Stephanie were really excited to tell me about the different linens and table sizes they were incorporating to create visual interest in the tent. This is the part that is fun for the professionals because you don't want every spot to be the same. It's so cliche.
Exactly.
So you're going to be showing 4 different kind of scenes that our viewers think that they have to be identical. They do not.
I've kind of been the budget guy, and they've been able to creatively come up with solutions to accomplish our goals. So it's not a matter of just spend here, spend there to get what you want. It's, okay, let's really understand what you're trying to accomplish, and let's find the best way to do that.
Scott's father's favorite flower was sunflowers. So down the aisle, we're going to be having sunflowers tied onto the edges of the chair. And then up where they say their vows at the arch, we're also attaching sunflowers there in remembrance of Scott's dad. Also, Steph's mom loves Stephanotis. So we're going to be sure to incorporate Stephanotis into her bouquet and also into Scott's boutonniere as a symbol of them coming together as a new family.
New family, yes.
Yeah. Utilizing all of JDK services, not just their catering, but their event planning and their floral and all the services that they have to offer. And then using their preferred vendors too. That includes Baldy Beard Brew. It's a local brewery, and we got to make the beer for our own wedding. And with that, we have the grain socks we're going to use to make beer bread for the dinner. The danger with starting with a blank slate and creating everything from scratch is it can get pretty expensive. But I think, again, working with professionals and being creative, you can find a way to do what you want to do on the budget that you have.
Well, I'm sure you guys are extremely excited. I'm more excited than all of you guys because I can't wait to see the transformation. Hess tents arrived at the site the day before the rehearsal. Because they were accommodating over 200 guests, the reception tent was huge.
This size here, since we're going to be doing some additional lighting and accessory items underneath the tent, we have some electrical wiring and some of those details to work out, but we'll need about 4 hours or so, 4 or 5 hours with a 4-man crew.
Do we have plan B?
Sure. This time of year, there's variables. You know, in the summer months, what happens if a thunderstorm pops up? What happens, if it's really hot the day of the wedding?
Yes.
We take care of each of those scenarios. So the tent itself is very stable. We do extra staking in the tent to make sure everything's secure, that there's no issues the evening of the wedding.
While the tent was going up, Amanda shared her design of the cocktail area. And of course, I threw in my 2 cents.
Or that tree, just hang really chandeliers in here because it's...
Scott's ties to athletics run deep. Not only was he a Penn State wide receiver, he also played semi-pro baseball. So it seemed fitting that Scott and Stephanie had their rehearsal dinner at the Harrisburg Senators game. Scott even threw the first pitch. It was a great evening, and everyone had a chance to relax before the big day. Senators, yeah! As wedding day dawned, Stephanie and her bridesmaids focused on getting themselves prepped. Carmina Cristina was on hand to do Stephanie's makeup.
Today we're gonna play with beautiful browns and gold tones, and we're gonna top it with a little bit of a pink, peachy pink tones. We can enhance in this way her natural beauty, and we can make her beautiful blue eyes to just stand out. Every bride today, she's like, I really want to look like myself. I don't want to look like somebody else on my wedding day. And I think that's great, because your wedding day, it's your day, so you have to look like your best self.
Absolutely. Stephanie's dress from Tara's Bridal made her look really elegant. There's always a lot to do in the morning of the wedding, but when the venue is a field, it's doubled. JDK's staff was there bright and early, setting up the tent with tables, chairs, linens, and flowers. Stephanie supplied 12 runners and overlays in navy and tangerine. They created a nice contrast to JDK's linens and the flowers. By noon, they were ready for the catering department to arrive with the place settings and kitchen. Unfortunately, the rain arrived the same time as the trucks, and not just a little bit of rain, buckets. The whole crew was soaked to the skin within minutes. JDK brought an entire kitchen with grills, coolers, and of course food, in the pouring rain. Coming up, it's time for Stephanie and Scott's dream wedding. And everyone is wondering if we'll have to resort to Plan B. So let's face it, if you're going to have an outdoor wedding, not only do you need Plan B, you need to put someone in charge of implementing that plan. When the rain started falling, there was general panic among the vendors. Mike Miller was concerned about the safety of the electrical equipment. Amanda knew how important it was to Stephanie and Scott to have an outdoor ceremony, but she needed the time to make the switch. Doug, it was chaos, and the storm really came and went without much warning. Is this normal for August?
Well, you know, the peak season for thunderstorms is the end of May and June, but in August, certainly they're going to be popping up and into the fall. And you're right, sometimes a thunderstorm will come in quickly, and it'll leave quickly, and other times they can move in and they can just stay for a while.
I got a call from our director around 12:30, and she looked at the radar online and predicted that the storms will be gone in time for the ceremony. But honestly, I was very nervous about making that call. Do you have any suggestions for making last-minute calls like this?
Well, the answer's right in the palm of your hands these days, Martine. And even 24 hours before the wedding, you can get an idea if you're going to experience the threat, at least, of some severe weather. As for that last-minute call, have an iPad, have an intelligent phone, and put one of the weather apps on there, whether it's WGAL.com or any of the other numerous weather apps. And then your person who's in charge can pick it up right here, can use even interactive radar to see when the estimated time of arrival will be and when it's going to get out of the way and whether or not you go on with the big day.
So, you heard it from the pro. If you're having an outdoor wedding and you don't live in a desert, have Plan B discussion with everyone and put someone in charge of implementing that plan. Then keep your perspective, focus on your vows, and plan to enjoy your wedding regardless of the weather. When it came time for the couple's first look, it was under an umbrella. Stephanie was clearly upset, but put on a brave face. Okay, I just want to let you know, I just spoke to Amanda. We're trying really, really hard to have the ceremony outside.
That would be great.
We're going to find out 10 minutes before.
10 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes before. Okay.
Yeah, cocktail hours is not going to be outside. Right. Because there's a lot of food, drinks, and it makes sense. Right. Do not worry. Everything is going to be fine. After you say your I do's, you're going to be fine. Don't worry. It's going to clear up. But their good karma won out. Less than an hour before the wedding, the sun finally arrived. Scott held a seat for his dad with his catcher's mitt. It was an emotional moment for him. And by ceremony time, the sky was blue, the bride was beaming, and everyone was happy. Cocktail hour happened just outside the reception tent, instead of in the grove as planned. Everyone, especially Scott, enjoyed the fun hors d'oeuvres. The couple had their first dance under the tent, without the dance floor, but it was a big hit anyway. While the guests enjoyed dinner, Amanda, Mike Miller, and I made the last-minute decision to have the celebration and dancing outside as planned. It took lots of hands. Everyone helped. But it was all worth it when we saw the looks on Stephanie and Scott's faces.
This is incredible.
All the linens.
This is everything we had envisioned until 3 o'clock today.
Okay, so no matter how much good karma you carry, it is still important to have Plan B if you're having an outdoor wedding. Stephanie and Scott inspire everyone to give 110% to make their wedding truly an event to remember. In 20 years, I think that they'll remember that dance under the stars. In the rain, it'll be part of the story of their dream wedding. See you next time. So let's face it, if you're going to have an outdoor wedding, not only do you need to implement Plan B, but honestly, I was a bit nervous because
even before you get to the last minute part of this whole operation, you want to know well in advance, probably 24 hours out, you should have a general idea if there's a threat of thunderstorms. As for the last minute decision, it can all be right here on your blacked out iPad, which has no image at all on it. Just like my cell phone. Usually they throw things, so we're doing pretty good.
It truly is inspirational. Today's karma?